Sorry. I'm probably going to have some technical difficulty tonight. It seems like the technology gods aren't in my favor. I believe the sound is working. Yep, sound check. And but already I'm having a little bit of problems with the Wi-Fi. But we'll see how it goes. And my phone is running a little bit low on charge, so um, hopefully this will go well. We'll see. Just taking some measurements here. Chin comes down right to there. Let's measure from the bottom. Okay. And then the hairline roughly there. Let's get the sides of the face. That looks good. That looks good. So we have more or less the rectangle of where her face is going to fall. Let's just get a little bit of red paint in there. I'm using Gamsol to thin the paint, and also I have a little bit of safflower oil um, just to give it a little bit more fluidity, I guess is the term. And people watching now, you're welcome to leave a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. Again, I may have some technical difficulties tonight. I think this may be the last week that I use my phone for doing the live stream. I do have a webcam, but I haven't set it up yet. And that may be a little bit better way to deal with the outage issues that I'm having. Get the shape of her chin in here. Her, let's get the eye height. Somewhere around there. Edge of the eye. Looks good. Tear duct. Okay, so we have something like this. And the other eye. And that may be enough landmarks for me to get started putting in the colors. Going to more solid shapes. Okay, and I think we may need to move her nose over a little. Though not too bad. Okay. And I'm going to grab a bigger brush here. That'll keep me from tightening up too much. And I'm going to mix some of the halftone colors that I see in her face. And tonight I want to try to lean a little more yellow than I have been painting. My tendency is to shy away from the yellow and lighten my colors with white, and that tends to cool everything off. And so instead, I'm just going to um, try to lean on that yellow a little bit more and see if I can get just a little bit warmer overall cast to the colors. And this may be a little bit stronger color than I wanted, but that's okay. It's easier to knock the color down than it is to try to get brighter. Okay. And don't mind, there might be a little background noise. My son's just come home from the movies. Okay, I'm getting a little bit of alizarin permanent in the paint for these darker shadow areas. And If I think about it, it looks like her face has a warm lighting on it, and then that would make the shadow slightly cooler. But overall, there's a warm cast to the whole photo. Okay, and go a little bit redder for her lips. Just a touch of white with the quinacridone red. And so you can see the whole face right now. I have pretty close to just one value. I'm going to have to find the lighter values and then the shadows. And for her shadows, I am going to go lean a little bit in the greenish direction. Let's see if I add a touch of white there. You can kind of see. So I'm getting green, black, another touch of yellow in there. That's looking very green. I want it to be grayer. So this is more of a little bit more of a neutral. I probably should have just started with yellow and black or orange and black to get that shadow color. I think that's a little bit better here. Still not looking like the right color. So I'm going to lean it red until I get closer to what I want. Okay. Okay, so let's try to get a little bit more accurate with some of these colors in the face so that I can start to see where I am. Okay, still just looks like a mess right now, but it'll get there. Okay, I'm gonna find more or less where her nostrils are. I'm gonna go pretty deep red here with the alizarin permanent. That's um, the modern version of alizarin crimson. And things like nostrils, that's something that like John Singer Sargent would use to paint things like nostrils to get that sort of um, dark, rich red where you would normally see hints of red in a portrait. Let's get the shadow underneath her lips. That may need to be lower. Let me do a quick measurement again. It looks like it's in about the right spot. Her upper lip then may need to come up higher then. Something like that. And let's just get a little bit of the highlight on the lower lip so I can start to see it. Okay, that's better. And I'm losing a little bit of the angularity in her cheeks here, just because I don't have the shadow shape quite right yet. And I really should get back to my bigger brush. That'll be helpful. You guys are a quiet crowd tonight, but that's okay. I'm just going to keep on talking and painting. And I don't know how many of you use Photoshop, but the way I think about how I structure my areas of color, it's a little bit like if you use the posterize filter in Photoshop, where everything gets divided in discrete areas of color and value, and then each color kind of takes on a shape. And that's kind of how I think about it when I'm painting. I'm trying to fill in that shape with each particular color until it, and that's a really powerful method of getting forms to turn. Some people like to think about it as like facets or planes in the face, and then they paint each plane. Um, to me, that doesn't look quite organic enough when you're just chipping away. It looks more kind of sculptural it does um, than it does kind of looking having a realistic kind of look to it. But it is a very effective way of creating the sense of form. So let's get a little bit of background color going here so I can start to um, work back and forth in the face. And I'm going to go kind of a even darker red for the background, at least around her jaw. And then I'm going to keep it lighter where her shirt and her um, jacket are. Keep that very fluid. So this is where I'm adding oil to the paint. I can use that same color. It's sort of a dark red around her eyelids where she has a little bit of eyeshadow on. Oh, that's a little bit too much oil. If you can see what it's sort of beating up a little bit. Just got it a little bit too runny, so let's clean that up a little. And let's mix up some bluish white for the whites of her eyes. And if I look, her tear duct is just a little bit in from the edge of the nostril. And then she has some, at least for this eye, she has a little bit of white underneath her iris. Let's get a good measurement here. That's about right. Okay. Okay, I think everything seems to be working so far. Hopefully my phone isn't running out of charge, but at some point I'll check on that. Nothing really I can do about it. If it's not charging, it's not charging. Okay, so let's get back to this bigger brush. And I need to make her face whiter here to get that sense of that angular shape to her face back. Back to the smaller brush for details around her eye. And her eyes are a little bit slightly crossed because she's looking at something close to her. This is from a selfie. She's looking at her phone. And so I may decide to move the position of her irises a little bit so that it doesn't look quite so crossed. Okay, and then I want to make sure I'm getting the bridge of her nose in the right place. Bigger brush, that should be my mantra. Just keep on going with the bigger brush. Got this shape here. Have a light color coming in. Get a little bit of yellow in that light. Okay. And I need to get some of the black that's in her hair. Just again going so I can start to judge the value and colors and start to get placement a little bit more accurately. So just adding a little bit more oil to the paint just to get it to flow. You can see it was the strokes were getting a little bit short. I would put the brush down and it would only put down paint for a very short distance. So adding a little bit of oil and getting a little more paint on the brush helps me get those longer strokes. Then I want to get a little bit of blue for her jacket. It's not quite that bright a blue, but that's where I'm going to start. Bring her eyebrows down a little bit. Let's get a little bit more red going. That's better. Okay. And then same with the highlights, they need to be lower here in the forehead. Okay, let me see. Austin says, haven't been on for a couple weeks. Hard to stay up and watch every time. Hello from England. Well, welcome, Austin. I'm glad you're staying up. Um, and obviously, this is on replay later if you want to go to bed at some point. And Jennifer, hi AJ, I'm joining from Ontario, Canada. What kind of oil do you use as your medium? So I'm using safflower oil. I use all Gamblin paints, and some of Gamblin colors are mixed with linseed oil and others are safflower oil, depending on whether it's a warm or cool color, because the safflower oil tends to be clearer and cooler. So it's ideal for that to be the binder for the cooler colors. And so I also like that it doesn't tend to yellow like linseed oil, so that's why I use that as my medium, and it has a nice long drying time, so allows me to keep on working into the paint for a long time. Keep on going out a little bit with the hair. Got a little bit of white in the paint there. Not sure if that's going to hurt me in the long run, but that's fine. And getting a little bit of yellow going there. Edge of the hair. Okay. So at some point I'm going to need to start tightening up these features, start to get a little bit better of a likeness going. And then I can start to refine, looking at the resource and seeing where things are out of whack. So just so you know, this photo, it had, because it's a selfie, the phone, selfie was shot in a mirror, so the phone was blocking part of her face. And so I actually cloned her ear from one side of her face to the other um, so that she had two ears in this reference. Didn't come out too badly, except the ears look very similar. I darkened the the one on the right hand side of the reference um, to fit better into the shadow. And Jennifer says, "Oh, thanks. I use linseed oil, but looking for something to slow drying time." Yeah, so you should check out safflower oil, and Gamblin makes a good product. I think I've also used Utrecht and Blick have similar products. Okay, let's start to get really accurate now with each brush stroke. That's the get everything the right color, the right place. Start to make adjustments as I see them. Keep it very yellow up there. Light and yellow. Okay, I'm using quite a bit of paint tonight, but that's okay. Um, just get a little bit more down. That's going to help me. Losing my shadow on that side. Okay, and I need to make her cheekbones spread out a little bit more. And let's do this shadow of her eyelid. Let's just get it a little bit more accurate. And then she's totally missing her upper eyelid at this point, but that's okay. And a little bit of a shadow here. And then let's restate the eyebrow. Let's take a measurement again. Doesn't hurt to remeasure. When you get into a certain point in the painting, at some point it's not worth remeasuring because you've already pretty much committed to where the things are. Okay, let's get this highlight on her upper lip here. And refine the shape of her lip. And make sure that I get this shadow underneath her nose so that it starts to turn. Okay, that's not the right color yet. Yep. And let's get this highlight on the bridge of her nose. Lighter, and I can almost go pure white right on top of the paint. It will mix with the colors that are underneath, so it won't read as white unless I come in really thick with the paint. And then I want to lighten this color here so that it doesn't look like just areas of color, that it actually starts to turn in space. And I really do want my bigger brush here. Keep on grabbing the smaller one, but force a habit, right? Put a little bit of orange coming down here. And a bit of white right along the hairline. White or yellow. Okay, I can grab this smaller brush if I'm doing things like details around the eyes, but then I have to remember to let go of it. Let's just throw a hint of light on right in that. There, so I can start to see it. And now that the right side of her iris and the white is significantly darker on that side. It's got a little bit of purple going in there. And that will help it start to feel round instead of just a flat bit of white there. I really want that eyeball to feel like it's turning in space. Clean that white up a little bit. And right now, that eye is looking at us, and it's not really supposed to. And that's because I have the eyelid going too long on that side. So I'm going to carve that in a little. Okay. And again, I need to make her cheekbones a little whiter there. So I'm going to pull it out to the side. Again, I'm using that smaller brush. Oh well. And I want to carve that ear shape out. Something, well, I think it comes down a little bit lower than that. Getting a little rosy on the hairline there. going through quite a bit of black right now, and so I'm going to have to probably put more out on the palette at some point soon. Okay, it's starting to shape up a little bit here. And I'm going to indicate where her shirt is coming in right here. Yeah, something like that. And that comes all the way down here. So, and the shape here in her neck is really, it's a really nice shape, graphic shape here, where it comes down and then it sort of bends around here and then comes down. There's something kind of Klimt-like about it, that shape. And I'm going to indicate where this shirt is on this side too. Comes right up here, down a little bit. Getting a little bit of too much blue in the paint there, but that's okay. It's easy. It'll be easy to gray that up a bit. And then the collar comes over, trying to keep that beautiful shape, and then swings down. Okay. Let's get a little bit of oil in the paint there to make it a little more fluid. Or I can always add a little bit of Gamsol, does the trick also. I just don't want the paint to get quite so washy. And then I need a gray, more of a gray color for underneath the collar. Okay, and let's find that dark blue again for her jacket. Denver says, thanks, I used linseed oil, but looking for something with slow drying time. I may have read that already. I did read it to myself at least. I just may not have read it out loud. Okay, that blue is pretty strong. I'm going to want to darken that up a little. Get a lot more black in there. And the clip that's holding my panel is getting in the way a little bit there, but that's okay. And then her shoulder I have kind of sticking out a little bit too far. In reality, it's almost, it's just a little bit showing there, but that's okay. Just filling in, trying to knock out some of that white panel here so that I can start to judge colors and values. Okay, getting there. Okay, me see where I am right now. So just looking quickly back and forth, I brought her eyebrows down too much. That's okay. That's not hard to repaint. If I had made the eyes in the wrong place, that would be a little bit more of a challenge, but I'm always up for repainting eyes, so doesn't if you do it a lot, then you just get good at it. Okay, and still sticking to trying to find the get those large color shapes laying down next to each other. Okay, and what I need to do is bring in a little more shadow in her jaw, and that will help get the right shape to her face. Let's lay one color right down next to the other one to get instead of just blending. Improve those nostril shape a little bit. Yep. This is where having too big a brush hinders me a little bit, trying to get into little smaller areas with nice clean color. So I may have to grab that smaller brush at some point soon. Okay, and this eyebrow had to get up a little bit higher. Let's move the bridge of the nose over a little. And let's get a little bit lighter on the tops of her cheeks there. So we start to feel the dimension of them. Got kind of a rosy color going there, right here. Let's get a little bit deeper. And then I can go lighter and yellower up here. Not so much on this side though. It's not quite as light. Then I have darker and oranger over here. Okay. Got her eye open a little bit wider than what I have it. eyelid comes down really quickly in this corner. And then I can throw, again, I may end up moving this, but let's just get it down there. And she has eyelashes. Okay, I'm just taking a little bit of time to look instead of just painting so I can see where things are not the right shape or right placement. It helps me to see where I need to adjust things. And I need to make her jaw a little more delicate. And Jorge Escamilla says, do I sell those after I'm done painting them? Sometimes I sell them, but normally these are practice that I do in between my commissions. So mostly what I sell are portrait commissions. Sometimes I'll do a painting of somebody and they just for practice and they like it and they end up buying it. But that's not that doesn't happen too often. Maybe 3 or 4 times a year, something like that. I probably do close to about 100 paintings a year. Okay, let's close up her jaw a little bit here. Find the right color. Okay, that's feeling a little bit better. I'm going to move her separation of her lips up a little bit higher. Yeah, so about selling my practice pieces, I kind of find that that I have to be practicing all the time, um, whether I'm going to sell the work or not. It's sort of it's helpful because it improves my skills so that um, it makes it so that people are more likely to hire me to do a commission if they see really good examples of portrait work, and I only can get there by practicing all the time. I used to be like, oh, I'm only going to paint if someone's like commissioned me or I'm getting paid to do it, and that doesn't, or it's a work that I'm going to put in a gallery, but I found that that's kind of for me, that's the wrong way to look at it. It needs to be more that I'm painting all the time, that I can't worry about whether I'm going to make money off of that. I just need to be practicing, um, and then if your skills get high enough, then you find that there's people who want you to do paintings, either um, that they want to buy your originals or they want to commission you to do a portrait. But it's just about getting the quality of the work up, and that again only comes from practice. Okay, want to get a little bit deeper shadow underneath her nose, especially right there. And I'm going to restate her, the position of her nostrils here. And I'm going to need a kind of a transitional color from this light area of the front of her nose to the sides of her nose, so that it does feel like it's turning. Let's get a little bit darker on the sides. Actually, it doesn't need to go that dark. In the photo, it's only a couple steps darker. What I'm missing is this step here in her cheek. I haven't gone quite dark enough there. So that's pretty orange, but darker than the orange that I have on my palette. So I'm just going to add a touch of black, a little bit of red to keep it from getting too warm. That is not the right color. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my pure orange. That's feeling right. Let's put a highlight on her lips again. I had to move where I was before. Moved her lip a little bit higher, so where I had a highlight before is no longer in the right place. The same with her upper lip. This highlight has to come up a little bit higher. Let's get that a lot stronger, so you start to feel the reflectiveness of her lips, a little bit sense of moisture go in there. And this is where I think I need the yellow, right up here. Just getting a little bit more definition to her philtrum. And then pulling this up more. Then I got this nice red crevice on the side of her nose here. And a little bit of hint on this side. Okay, and you see she has this really nice highlight going on the bottom of her chin. See if I can get that working here. So for that I need two things. I need the form near it to be darker, and I need the shadow next to it also to be darker to get that to read properly. Let's do both. Let's get that dark red going there in the neck. And then I have a similar thing going here. It's kind of greenish. Just add a touch more white. Can't go too light there, but you want it to read. There we go. Then I gotta get a little darker right next to it. If I can figure out that color, it's very orange or something. Okay, that's a little bit better. And I can adjust this again. Okay. So I still feel like I have the shape of her eyes wrong, but the lids are a little bit straighter across on the bottom. Still want to get a little bit of light underneath the iris here. So something isn't quite right. Either I have my eyelid too low. What I probably did was, instead of straightening it up from the corners, I should have brought the corners down to get this in the right place. So let's try that again. Let's bring those corners down. Let's get a little bit of that light that's on the top side of the eyelid there. And let's bring that tear duct lower. And I'm going to move that iris over just a little bit. That means I'm going to have to redraw that highlight, which is okay. Let's try that again. That's not too bad. Okay. And a little bit darker shadow. Now I said I did need to dig out the black, so I will need to find that soon. So Mario Rendali says, I agree, the eyes are subtle, hard to nail. Yep. Let's get that there. Painted out that highlight again, but and then I need to drop down this corner a little bit. Okay, let me get a measurement. I feel like I keep on moving the chin up, and it actually does need to move up still. Okay, so I'm not going crazy. The chin was, I painted the chin initially too low, which means I'm going to have to find that highlight again on the bottom of her chin. The reflected light, I mean. Right around here. Okay, that's a little bit too strong, but it helps me see where it is. Okay, let me dig out that black while I'm need a little bit of a stretch. Okay, let me know how I'm doing so far. I'm using chromatic black. That's a gambling color. It's made by mixing phthalo emerald with quinacridone red, and those happen to be two colors that I do have in my palette, but it's two perfect complements that are highly transparent, that make that nice rich black that's not a true black in a way. It's just a neutral mixture of transparent colors. For those of you who are purists, then it doesn't really gum up your painting that much if you're looking for a black that sticks to impressionist rules. Mario says, I'm working on a portrait and the eyes have me missing the likeness, so I'm enjoying watching how you solve it. Okay, thanks. Okay, so now I should have enough black on my palette to do the job because I have a lot of hair that's black. Let's get that darks going on the edge of that eye. Okay. Okay, now I can start to see things where the photo and the painting differ. That's really going to help me solve some of this. Oh, that was definitely the wrong color I had on the brush for that spot. That's a little bit better. Just needed to be a little bit lighter or something up there. Okay. And the hair comes down a little bit more on this side and closes up a little bit more. Okay. So yes, I have to make this ear smaller. Painted it pretty big there. Starting to get there. Okay, now her hair feels kind of weighty, and so I need to give her a little bit more on top and a little bit less on the sides. You can just get a lot of paint going here. I don't care. This is not a commission, so I don't have to worry about dry time. And just load up this panel with paint. Okay, and so then I need less hair underneath here. Let's see if I can get the right background color going. Don't know about that one. I started off very transparent, but then I got a lot of white in there. Okay, that's good. Let's get rid of some of that hair. Yeah, I'm losing some of that transparency, which was kind of nice, but just need to go a little bit darker so that it doesn't feel kind of smoky. There we go. Let's get some pure black going right underneath this ear. Okay, so the shape of her hair is getting a little bit better. Let's just indicate where these two giant beads are. Somewhere like here. I feel like I have her hairline too low because you can see. No, that's the right place. Okay, so I got yellow and white, pretty strong, fairly clean mixture there. And those are right next to each other. Can clean up the edges a little bit and get those rounder. And then a highlight just so I can see the shape of it. Okay. Okay. So let's see where I am. Hopefully those eyes are in the right place now. I have them painted very simply, so if I need to move them, I can. So, let me see, I lost some of this thread. So Mario says they are looking better already, getting expression by getting the shapes neat. Victoria says, hello, painting is looking really good. Mario Rinaldi says, wow, the hair adds a lot to the expression and identity too. Victoria says, what solvent are you using? So I use Gamsol is my solvent here. I use it to clean the brushes and sometimes to thin out the paint. And then I also have some safflower oil here that I'm using um, to sort of both to thin the paint, but sometimes also to make it a little bit more liquidy when the paint starts to dry out. That helps extend the dry time and also um, allows me to have longer, more fluid brush strokes. Let's get a little bit of the dyed hair. Sure, the tips of her hair look like they're dyed, so I want to get a little bit of that feeling going in here. And there are some places in the interior here that we see some of that. She has some curls that have some color coming in. And a little across here. And none of this has to be perfect. It's actually better if it's a little bit gestural. It gives a lot more energy and a sense of rhythm to the painting. And then the silhouette tells a lot of the story. So sometimes you have to slow down and make sure that you're getting enough accuracy there. And this is where I want to get a bit darker. Even darker. Have the blue coming up in here. Okay, let's get the bigger brush going again. And then here's where I said I had to knock back some of this bluish color. Got a little bit too strong. Trying to go almost pure white here on the tip of this collar. I can get a little bit thick with the paint. That's okay. That texture sometimes helps bring things forward in space a little bit. Need to get dark enough to get the shadow here. There we go. Almost convincing. And then there's a little bit of reddish shadow here between the shirt and her neck and chest. Okay, feeling like her nose may not be low enough. Let me just get a quick measurement. Yeah, the tip of her nose is just a little bit too high. No, it's not that far off. It's just messing things up there. Let me clean that up. Okay, just the, where the tear duct is in relationship to her iris, it's just really tight right there. So I have to be careful not to pull that too far out. The tendency is that when you have those little small shapes there is to spread things out. Okay, and I want to go a little bit darker on the lower part of her eyelid here so that it does feel like it's dipping down, and then I have change of direction right here, right up against that. There might be little flecks of white catching the light there. So I'm just going to put those in even if I'm not really seeing them. Okay, let's just take out some of these transitional shapes there that are affecting our ability to see the form turn. Soften that up just a little. And I feel like this is turning a little bit tighter than what I have it. Let's just do it anyway. Make her chin feel a little bit more um, elegant, delicate, elegant, whichever. Bring this color over just a little bit and then get a dark in there to help define where her neckline is. And then her neck does curve around here, so I do want to get that, a little bit of that perspective in, separate from where the shirt collar falls. It's kind of a little bit different spot. I haven't painted in coming to the same place, and I want to separate those so they don't interfere with each other. That's kind of hard to explain, but they kind of overlap in a way, and if I have the edges of them kind of stopping at the same place, you don't really see that overlap so well. Okay, let's restate this there. That's looking a little bit better. And let's get this transitional color here a little bit smoother. That's a little bit too dark there, but I just really want it to feel that change. Do you know what it really needs is getting that highlight on the tip of the nose. And then for that, I'm going to mix yellow and white together and get this sense of yellow in there. Let's just bring that up just a little bit. Try that again. There we go. You can really feel that when you put a highlight in the right place, and you really can feel surface of the skin, then you know it's there. If it just feels like it's just a random spot that you put down, then it needs to be adjusted. Okay, now I need, this transition needs to be very, very soft right here. Oh yeah, now I'm feeling it. And I need some value changes right here. Feel the turn of her lips. Let's clean this up a little bit here. Again, getting a softer transition going. Right there. This comes up higher. Just very subtle. Artwork by Mari says, nice work. Thanks for sharing your thoughts as you paint. Oh, you're welcome. Again, just a warning, my battery may run out at any time, so if it goes dark, then I'm going to have to unplug everything, recharge, and then start streaming again. Hopefully not, won't be too disruptive. Okay, so right now it's not clear what's going on in here, and I need to resolve some of these values so that you start to see the form turning. It's all getting about fooling the eye in a sense, organizing the values in such a way that it starts to turn the form so that we see it. So that's a little more helpful what I just did there. Need to get a little bit clear value pattern right here. And I can go even lighter in some spots here. Really get the sense of the skin reflecting the light back from the light source. And again, softer transitions will help right here. And again, get these transitions here so that we feel the form turning. Okay, let's see where we are. Need a little bit darker here. Again, same reason to get the form to turn. If we think about this curving of the forehead around this way, then there has to be a gradation that goes from light to dark on the sides, and there's a little bit of, there's a little bit of um, typography, not that's not the right word, um, topography, a little bit of the changes in the forms of it in her forehead. So, but overall, it's sort of this big roundish cylinder shape. So right here, I need to go a little bit darker here because there's these smaller shapes in here. This is a shape that goes, there's sort of paint both sides of it so we can start to get a sense of it. Okay, and she has these kind of wisps of hair that come over her forehead. It's not really clear in this photo, but in other photos I've seen of Kate, then you can kind of see it a little more clearly. Okay. And just want a little bit of indication of detail in her ears. And then I'm going to put her earrings in. A little more orange on this side. Let's change the shape a little bit. Okay, so the earring's pretty simple. I want a dark color down first. It can be black or have a little bit of color in it. And then I'm going to come right over that with pure white or white with maybe in this case I'll put a little bit of yellow in it to give it kind of a more of a golder tone. I want that pretty thick right on top so that the paint sits right on top of that dark value that I put down first. Not really getting quite thick enough, but okay, that's not too bad. And it doesn't take a lot of work, and it's, visually it's pretty convincing. I don't want to get too gimmicky, but I'm painting it pretty close to what it is that I'm seeing, so just as long as you remember to look to see what it looks like. Okay, and artwork by Mari says, are you purposely dulling down the yellow glare from the photo to a more natural color? No, it's really a difference of the colors I see in the monitor and what you're seeing through my camera. And the colors here, I think that the colors are a pretty good match, but if I look up on my monitor to see how they look closer to what you're saying, um, the color of my painting looks much redder um, than the photo. But as I'm looking at the photo on my monitor in real life, it does look like pretty close to the color. Maybe it's a little bit more yellow, but I've been trying to lean on the yellows a lot more, and hopefully I'm getting some of them. little bit of a rose color coming across here. And this is trying to get this color here. It's sort of a greenish thing, comes right in. Okay, and one more attempt to get this upper eyelid to read. That's not too bad. And let's simplify the values here. And a little bit of light there, and a little bit of light on the upper brow. Okay, gonna refine this nostril a little. I got a little bit too large there. Make it a little more delicate. And the same on the other side. Bring this darker color in a little bit further. If I can figure out what color it is. No, that's too dark. It's just more of just a little bit darker red tone. Okay, and I have some lighter colors here. And then darker as it gets a little bit lower down. There's a bit of orange in there, a bit of red. That's too dark, but can soften that up a little bit. Where I need to go darker though is right here. Okay. Just take a look. Let's bring her shirt collar in a little bit closer. Go higher. That feels about right. And then on this edge, I can also go higher, just right up to where I now have her jawline painted. Okay. So I think I'm pretty close actually for painting an hour and a half, but I want to now use this time to kind of clean up and refine some shapes that will really help make this painting just really pop and sing. So that's simplifying the shapes, making sure that the forms read in space, and what else? I think that's about it. Just really cleaning things up a little. Okay, let's bring her Just feel like her jaw's gotten a little too wide at this point right here. Just tighten that in a little bit. And the same where the background is. Yep. And just need to give that reflected light here along the edge. Get that back in. Here, soften up this transition here also. Bit of orange. Let's do a nice bright edge along the top of the shirt there. Top edge of the collar. Let's see if we can get a little bit of differentiation there between the upper lip and where the cheek is. So it just looks like just one thing. And I know that there is a direction change there. It's very subtle. I've made it a little bit less subtle, but I can push it back a little bit still. I'm just looking for those subtle value changes. Again, still working to get the forms to turn. Artwork by Mari says thanks, looks great. And Idranil Biswas gives me 5 thumbs up. Really thought I deserved 6 thumbs up, but okay, I'll take 5. Okay, let's get nice and black right here. Really push that back. That will make the light areas of the painting just really pop even more. Okay, and I think I'm going to paint these stripes in, these little Adidas stripes that she has on her jacket. I think it just adds interest. If I don't like it, I can always just paint it out. There's a bit of a wave there. Okay, that's not too bad. I'll just straighten out these edges so that they line up. That's probably good enough. Okay. Okay. I've skewed her face a little bit. This is where if I've had a little bit more time and wasn't doing this live demo, I'd probably pull out my mirror and take a look at it that way, and that really shows you where things are kind of turning in different directions. Skewing is a real common thing. Most people do it where they tend to make one side higher or tilt in a particular direction. And I do that. And I think a lot of people may have that problem. Okay, where does this really need cleaning up? I think in here, that yellow got a little bit out of control. This feels a little bit dirty in this one spot, but needs to be kind of a really strong orange. A touch of red in here to go a little bit darker. Can go a little bit cleaner right here. Can get a tad lighter. This one spot there, the same there. Yep, that really helps. Let's get a little bit of light along that edge there. And I want almost a pure white right in the white of the eye, just to really feel the light hitting. That was just the right idea. I just didn't execute very well. Let's try this with the other eye. Again, I probably didn't do that so well. Okay, I think this is really close now. I like the freshness of the paint, so I don't want to kill it, by overworking it. So this is just all about cleaning up a few spots. See here where it looks kind of ghosty and not really resolved, then I want to come in and try to get it right. Okay, need a clean paper towel so I can have a clean brush. So what's going on here? A little bit of hair is coming in over the forehead. This color here went a little bit too gray. this color right in here. There is a little bit of white along the edge here, although need to soften that up a little bit. Okay, and there's some spots where I need some pure black that didn't really get it. Soften up this edge a little. Not every edge has to be hard and defined. You can find places to soften things up a little, and it does help, especially where you have your focal point as being in focus. If you have other things out of focus, that really does help draw your eye to that area. That was the wrong color there, but let's clean that up a little. Okay, let's see. Just a few little spots to clean up, and I think it will be done. Again, I want to make sure it stays fresh. Being quiet here because sometimes that helps with accuracy. It's just controlling your breath a little bit. Let's get a little bit hotter on the lips. Then I can go even darker in the separation, the crevice of between the lips. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's bring the tip of the nose down just a little bit here. Okay. Seeing like I'm skewing the face a little bit on this, bring a little bit of color there. this angle in a little bit just to help with that skewing. And the same here, just carving into that cheek a little bit. Okay, so I think that's about where I want to leave it. Wait, just I did want to refine these beads a little bit better. Let's need a little bit of black around it to clean it up. And let's get a highlight on those. And just let's get a little bit lighter in some tips of the hair. Yep, I'm missing all this out here. If I can find the right color. Yep, something like that. Excuse me, had a little bit of a hiccup there. And just want to put a highlight in that eyelid there, and maybe find that lower lid a little bit better here. Oops, I think I went a little bit too high on that. Okay, let's finish this. Okay, I think I like the way that looks, the looseness. I don't really want to push it too much more. And so I am going to call it a night. Thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you're not already, and that way you'll get a notification when I go live again. I think you have to hit the notification bell icon as well as subscribing to get those notifications. And I am here every Tuesday night when I can. It's been pretty consistent to do another demo, and I will be back here soon. So thank you all for tuning in.